Thanks for staying, guys. And I'm about to bring up a very talented filmmaker and TV director and writer who I've known for quite a few years, and this is going to be my first time getting to interview him now, Mr. Bobby Yan. First off, Bobby he's directed on 3 TV shows, 11 episodes, 3 made-for-TV movies, and 7 shorts and features and numerous commercials he's directed. But that's not where Bobby got his start. Tell him about how you got your start.
Originally, I got my start in music videos a long time ago, very long time ago.
And your Emmys are in, because he's an Emmy Award winner multiple times.
My Emmys are for sports television involvement.
Sports television.
So,
So Bobby's been around the world in this industry and done a lot of different things. But right now he has been mostly directing made-for-TV movies. You have 3 out now?
3 out and 2 more coming November and December this year.
Okay, so he's working. He's a working director and writer. But what I really want to talk to you about is how you made the transition from doing indie, putting up the money to do your own stuff. Like when the first film I saw of yours was Mars, a great short film,
Thank you.
And how you made that transition from paying for your art to making your art pay for itself and pay you.
It was a turning point in my life. I had done music videos for over like 15, 20 years at that point, and I had seen the industry change. You know, I was chasing a dream for all those years, but with the intention of moving from music videos to narratives, right? But then, you know, industry change. I was looking at people like Spike Jonze and all these other people, Francis Lawrence, that were successfully moving from that to that. But then I realized, hey, I'm not even making a name for myself in music videos the way I wanted. And there's another discussion on why that happened. I understand now, in hindsight, why. So I decided, I said, I just cold turkey. I stopped, and I was writing a feature script for almost 10 years. 10 years working on the same script. And for the first 6, 7 years of writing that script, I never showed it to anybody. I just kept on working on it, and I kept thinking, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. When is it good enough? And then I finally showed it to some people. I sent it over to some friends, and they found another producer who I'm sure you know, Nikisa Cooper. She did a movie called Pariah back in the day. She found my script, she came on board and loved it, and said, this will be my next movie after Pariah, right? So I was excited. Then she brought on another producer, Diane Houseland. It was great. We were shopping it around as a feature. And then a few things happened. My father was battling Parkinson's. He passed away. After that, and then we were having trouble finding money at that point, because independent films, it's hard to find money. After my father passed, I just said, you know what? I'm going to write a short film version of the feature as a proof of concept. I saved all my money, and I just said, no more music videos. I'm just going to jump full force. I can't wait for my destiny to happen. I have to make it happen. Right? So just like any of you guys making your own shorts, same thing. You know, but I was working in another field for so long, it was an uncomfortability factor of how do I change and move it, but it was the goal. And I knew what my goal was. It was always the goal from 20, 30 years ago. It was like movies, right? So I did that. I spent all my money. I dropped it all in. I did it, and it manifested from there. You know, it got me into the Disney directing program. It got me into this program for Ryan Murphy, Half Initiative. And then from that point on, I started doing more shorts. People started coming to me to direct their shorts, so I directed 6 more shorts after that. And that was the burst. It was just making a choice.
Yeah, so, and I know a lot of people have the hard time making that choice from giving up something where you're making a little bit of money, but not satisfied, to giving that up so that you can actually pursue what your dream is. How scary was that?
The scariest thing was, you know, when let's just say you're doing I don't know if it comes from music videos or commercials, when you do that, you're doing something for an artist, right? But when you're doing your own piece that you wrote and directed, just like all of you guys are being judged. You have an audience, you get to get criticized. You become, your art becomes a centerpiece. And I think that was a big learning experience for me, was to see the reaction to my film, right? The first film I ever did. And to put it in front of a huge art, so my film was called Mars, and it's about a young rapper dealing with sexual identity, right? And it premiered at the biggest LGBT film festival of all, called Frameline. And they premiered it at this place called the Castro Theater, which is the de facto place in San Francisco. Everybody knows if you do the research on the history, right? It showed like one of the centerpiece films there, right? Packed audience, fully, full and all that stuff. And they're showing the film, and all of a sudden, you got a Q&A. I'm standing up there with all these eyes on you, and they're all judging you. And now you have to put yourself on center stage and say, okay, their question is, why an Asian guy doing a film about a black rapper, right? And he doesn't even look gay, right? So those are all these questions. They're just judging you. They're judging you. They're like, who is this person? And then you have to then show yourself. So I think that's what, I say that as an example of when you, just like you guys so wonderfully before, on the previous panel talked about your pieces, you're exposing your spirit, exposing who you are. And I think that was the biggest scare yet learning and opening for me, was to say, this is who I am, this is the story I'm going to tell. I'm going to tell other stories, and this is a piece of my humanity. And a piece of your humanity is put on screen. And that's what filmmaking is to me. So.
True. So I know a lot of people want to be filmmakers, and you want to be a filmmaker, but at what point did you know that you were and you could be a filmmaker?
I think for me, I've always known since I was a kid, because I have a sight, I can see things. But I think the turning point for me was there was probably two films I watched as a kid. It was School Days, and then maybe Do the Right Thing later, Straight Outta Brooklyn. And these films kind of changed me, because they're, Spike is from New York, Matty Rich is from New York. I was a young, Asian hood kid from New York, and all I saw was that. So to see other people from New York that did films, it just opened my eyes, like I could do that. Because before that, you're looking at the screen, you see the directors they don't look like you, right? I'm not black, but still, I'm a product of my environment. I grew up in Washington Heights and in Hollis, Queens. So to see people that look like the people I'm around doing that, it opened my eyes, like I could do that too, in a strange way. Then I started looking at international cinema, Zhang Yimou and things like Raise the Red Lantern, Chinese filmmakers of other countries, like wow, people are doing things. I started looking at history of film, like wow, we can all do it. We all have a voice, right? So I think that was the turning point for me to realize as a kid, yes, this is what I'm meant to do, so.
That's great, that's great. So your next project, what is it?
I have two projects coming out. November 23rd, I have a movie on Tubi. It's my first Tubi movie. It's a good Tubi movie. It's called Sugar Mama, and it's not what you think. It's a thriller horror, and it's really good. I think is that Mike over there? Mike has seen it. It's good. It's a good film. I'm really proud of it. Then I'm finishing up right now a Lifetime Christmas movie coming out December 7th called A Very Merry Beauty Salon. And it stars Tia Mowry and Ron Rico Lee from Sister Sister. It's like a reunion movie. And it's really great. It's the Lifetime's biggest Christmas movie of the year, so I'm excited.
All right, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So, what is the difference between working for a network like Lifetime and doing like an indie project for an indie company?
Good question. When you're working for a big corporation like Lifetime or anybody, HBO or Netflix, you have to answer to a lot of executives, studio heads, and you know this more than I do. And you have to satisfy a lot of opinions and be able to politic and understand how to navigate multiple opinions, and then for you as a director, you have to make the right choice that satisfies every single opinion out there, and still find a way to get your vision across. right? Whereas as you guys are doing the independent stuff, which I've done as well, I still love, you get to make your own choices. You are your own boss, your own exec, your own showrunner. You get to make your own decisions. When you are navigating the world of television and studio pictures, you have to navigate a lot of opinions. So it really helps to understand psychology, and but most importantly, I think for me, is to understand how to make the right choices, and also how to have good intent in your choices, how to be a good person. You know, even with someone that has an opposite opinion of you, or of your work or what you shot or the choice you made, you must be able to defend it, but you also must be able to be malleable to work with them on finding changes. So it's just two different sides of the coin. But I think the independent side is the amazing training ground for preparing you for the bigger things, because it's just a matter of just learning how to create a shift. And those that work, you know, I know a Queen yesterday, she's a lawyer, those that work in corporate world, it helps learning the corporate side. It prepares you for learning the studio side. So
I totally agree with that. So switch gears a little bit. When you're choosing, I know you have projects coming at you now, more projects coming at you now. So how do you choose what project you want to direct?
good question. So I have a 5, 10, 20-year plan that I decided I was going to implement in my life. I'm going to look at myself. Where am I in 5 years? Where am I in 10 years? Where am I in 20 years? Something I never actually did when I was 20 years old or 30 years old, even 40 years old. I never thought about that. But now I do. Every decision I make is going to further my goal of those 5 to 10 to 20-year plans. Everything I decide from this point on is geared toward that. So, for example, I took a Tubi movie. I was debating on whether I should take this Tubi movie. Right? It's the best decision I ever made. They're a great client and they're doing bigger things. And I had to look at itself. Should I do this movie? Does it further my life ahead? Even taking a Christmas movie, right, for Lifetime, does that further my career? You just have to kind of make a choice, you know, because I'm not a person that's just going to do something just because I want to do it, because I'm desperate for it. I have to make a choice and say, this is going to satisfy me professionally, creatively, personally. This is going to make me happy, right? But the one thing I did decide, no matter what I choose to direct, I'm going to make that experience a wonderful experience for the whole crew. As a leader of a set, as a director, you have to set an example. And that's another thing I learned, is how to be a good director. I'm not loud, I'm commanding, but I'm also very well intentioned to make sure that my crew is happy, my actors are happy, that we all have a good, enjoyable time, that we work together. And I work really hard to make sure that all the crew that I'm working with get along with each other. We deal with the problems immediately. And I think that was another, it's being a director with intention. I know it sounds weird, but I shifted my life and said, any job I do, anything I do, I'm going to do it a certain way. And I'm going to make my world around me a better place. Whatever set I step onto, it's going to be a better place because I'm there. That's my goal, right? And still satisfy what's on that screen.
Right.
I'm not about the ego. Some directors are about egos. It's not about that for me. It's about, let's create a wonderful job together, because it's teamwork. So that's another thing that I'm actually going to start pushing that onto other directors. Like, hey, make a better experience for your set. Lead your crew better, because I think it's important. So that's a goal of mine right at this point, to do that. So.
That's great. That's great. I totally agree. As a director, as a director, I've always felt that your main job is, one, to make sure that your crew feels appreciated for the artists that they are, and two, that the actors in front of the camera feel protected to be vulnerable. Those are two most important things you do as a director.
100%.
In terms of directing, what is your process? You know, like when you first get a script, how do you get it ready to go to screen?
Well, obviously you read it over and over again. But number one, there's a few questions I ask myself. What's the tone of the piece? What is it? What is this? Is it scary? Is it happy? Is it magical? Is it grounded? Is it reality? You figure out from whatever script that you're writing, or you eventually you'll get scripts and you have to direct it. You have to figure out what is the tone of that piece, and that determines everything from that point on in terms of how I shoot it, how I find visual references. I find visual references for it, how I prep for it, how I look into the characters. I think about what's the time of day or the year that the thing is set in. We gotta go. It's just all those things all come together, and that determines the choices I make. So I'll just say one thing: a director makes choices. That's what a director's job is. You have to make a choice of everything that's on that screen, from the color to the tone to the balance to the blocking to the acting. It's your choice. That's a director's job, and a good director makes bold choices, and that's what sets a director apart from another person, is the choices that director makes and your perspective, and that's what makes you unique. So I think whatever makes you a unique person, put it on screen.
Great answer. One last question. You said you have a 5, 10, 20-year plan.
Yep.
In 2044, what is the Bobby Yan film?
I will have multiple franchises. You know, there's Star Wars, there's Marvel. I'm going to have my own. I will have directed some of theirs, but I will have my own things that are big franchises. I was telling somebody, I forget who it was, I'm going to create my new version of The Matrix. That's my own version. That's just as groundbreaking as it was in 1999. It's to reinvent the wheel, either technology-wise and even mind-wise. You know, because the films that I want to make, I want to actually affect the world, because I believe in the power of change through film and positive change and bridging humanity instead of you know, creating conflict. So.
All right, Bobby Yan, y'all, give him some. Thank you. We're going to start the next